Okay, hi guys, welcome to HorrorBuzz Live. It has been a crazy couple of weeks since we last talked to you, and we're fighting a really bad signal tonight. But we're still going to bring you a great show. We are going to give it everything we have. Before I proceed, please like and subscribe if you can, if you will, as it were. And also, pop onto Facebook, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, we're all there. And we are also on Patreon if you feel like showing us some love. Let's go ahead and bring on not one, but two of our co hosts today, Lindsay and Chris.
Hello, world.
How's it going, guys? How was your past fortnight, man?
It has been a very spooky fortnight for me, anyway. I'll even bust it out. I have sitting here beside me, ready to go because obviously it's spooky season. I have lined up here all of my stocked up candles, I guess you could say. I have sitting here they're like all lined up. I know. I buy enough to last me all year long.
Wow.
So I'm deciding right now if I should be burning my pumpkin pecan waffles or my pumpkin carving candle.
Okay, well, see, I limit myself to those. We've had this discussion, but the Virgo in me kicks in, and so I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I can only enjoy these things at these certain times, and
I know. I don't know how you do
Yeah,
that.
same.
well, because it makes it so much better when you actually get to, like, okay, for instance, confession time. I love the Christmas Hallmark movies.
Well,
I
you were
think
in one, so you should love it.
yeah, but I mean, it was a bit part, but they're just pablum and escapist, just mindless crap. And anyway, but I won't let myself listen to or watch them um, until November 1st. But the exception is July because Christmas in
Oh,
July.
Christmas in
So
July, of
I,
Oh, of
course.
course. Yeah.
because that's just so silly. And anyway, so Chris, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good, thanks. I do sort of the same thing as you. I wait until like mid-August before I put on like actual Halloween movies, and like not just the Michael Myers movies, but movies set around and on Halloween. So
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
makes them a little bit more special. Like I won't watch The Great Pumpkin until around that time. I have to stop myself. I like slap my head. No, no.
Chris, I completely respect your discipline, Lindsay. However,
I'm a Taurus. We're known for being indulgent.
I'm a Scorpio.
So, excuse me.
well, you guys, we have an amazing show tonight. It's just the three of us tonight, hanging out, chatting horror. But and you have, Lindsay, you have tons of stuff to share with us. I'm assuming because you're always ending up cutting it short. So tonight you have a full, uh, what,
Pressure's on now.
10 minutes of Lindsay time at the very least. And Chris,
Wow.
you're going to be chatting with us about a new list that you. What am I doing? What's happening here? Sorry.
You tell me.
FaceTime. No, somebody called me. Jeff Gordon, I love you, but you interrupted but anyway. So and Chris, you have a list for us tonight. So
What can I be talking about?
I don't know. What will you be talking about? Maybe
My
you
top
can
5 horror
tease it?
movies so far this year. We're halfway through the year. It's almost July.
That's right.
So these are
Okay.
my favorites. And I'm really excited to talk about one, especially with you, but we'll get to that.
Yes, we definitely will. Okay, so let's go ahead and go straight into Lindsay's segment. Lindsay, go.
Ladies first.
Okay, let me just take one more sniff of my candle. Okay, now we're ready. I took a hit. Now we're ready. We've got a lot of different movies coming out in the beginning of July. I don't know what's going on in the horror world of why everybody's deciding to launch everything right around then, but a couple different things I want to highlight for you guys. First off, obviously, we've got Stranger Things Part 2 coming out on July 1st. That's very highly anticipated. If you're not familiar with Stranger Things, then please don't tell me because I'll be so upset. But if you're not, just a quick synopsis. We have some kids that live in Hawkins, Indiana, and they discover a lab. Things go crazy. And in this season, some of the kiddos live in California. Some of them are still in Hawkins. And all of a sudden, things come crashing down, and three different storylines are running simultaneously as these kids race to save the world again. So it's very good so far. Season or part 1 of season 4, I thought was very good and my favorite season so far. And if you agree with me, then you're probably just as excited as I am about the July 1st release. And on very shortly after that, we have on July 7th, so that would be next week, we have 11th Hour Cleaning. And this is a film about a group of forensic cleaners, so the guys that come to the crime scenes and clean everything up. And they go into a murder house, and all of a sudden they can't seem to find their way out. And turns out that they've been trapped by an ancient Nordic demon. Whoop, whoop. And his mission is to drive them insane. And they have to face their worst fears and personal regrets through very terrifying hallucinations to overcome this demon and ultimately attempt to escape. It incorporates a lot of Norse mythology and a lot of obviously paranormal horror. So if that's your thing, that's 11th Hour Cleaning, and that's coming next week on July 7th to video on demand. On the 5th, we have Monstrous. This is a horror film with Christina Ricci. So this came out on video on demand on May 13th, and it's going to be on DVD on July 5th. So if you were interested in this film and had trouble finding it, now it should be pretty accessible for you. It follows Laura, who is played by Christina Ricci, and her son, and they're fleeing from her abusive ex-husband, and they're trying to, find a new normal as they settle into their life. And they're living in a remote lakeside home. And all of a sudden, their mental limits are pushed just about as far as they can go as they face an unknown threat. So if you're into family horror, isolation horror, things like that, that's Monstrous, and that is coming to DVD on July 5th. Also coming on July 7th, again, we have The Prey, Legend of Carnoctus. And this is one of those like wild and crazy out there ones. It stars Danny Trejo, and it takes place in the Afghani desert. A group of mercenaries are out searching for treasure, and they come upon some retreating U.S. soldiers. And the groups are trapped in a cave as a rocket blows the entrance closed. And they have to escape the labyrinth, and they find that there's something very deadly, maybe Mr. Carnoctus, lurking in the depths of the cave. And that came out on cable and satellite. So like a sci-fi film, a sci-fi channel film that came out last month. And if you missed it, here's your chance, because it's going to be on video on demand next week on the 7th. And rounding out our films on the 7th, we also have The Summoned. This is about a boy and his girlfriend, and they have to make the ultimate choice when they're invited to a self-help retreat to help out the girlfriend who's kind of in the rock star lifestyle. And this enigmatic doctor who's kind of very mysterious and very suspicious starts to do some very suspicious things. And they've been summoned to settle a supernatural debt that goes back lots of generations. So if you're into psychological horror, maybe some sacrificial things, this is definitely for you. And it's called The Summoned, and it's coming to video on demand next week on the 7th. And that's what we've got for film. So it's a lot going on, and just as equally big in the realm of busyness, we've got events. And I've been waiting patiently to talk about this one just because it was so far off and there were so many other things. But darn it, we've waited long enough, and I say it's time, especially because Norm is wearing his shirt, and we are talking about MidSummer Scream. And this is coming this July from the 29th to the 31st at the Long Beach Convention Center. This is the not to be missed event. Run, walk, get in a plane, get on a pony, however you got to get here, you can get here. It is a horror convention and I don't even want to call it a convention. It's a horror spectacle of massive proportions. I mean, just everything that you could expect and hope to see is there. All sorts of vendors, demos, panels of the Hall of Shadows with all sorts of wonderful mini haunts for you to enjoy. And of course, we have the HorrorBuzz Screaming Room, which showcases all of the best shorts in horror that are submitted and very carefully vetted, and the best of the best are picked and put out into themed blocks. This is just definitely not to be missed. And I know I've said that, but just really driving that home. You can get tickets at midsummerscream.org. And the ticket breakdown is you can get a weekend pass for 63 bucks. You can go on Friday, which is the show floor only. So if you're only interested in shopping, talking to vendors, seeing what you need to fill out on your shopping list, you can go on Friday. The Hall of Shadows and panels and things won't be running, but you're welcome to shop till you drop for 32 bucks on Friday. Saturday's admission for general is $47 and Sunday is $37. You can get a gold bat pass though for 135 bucks for the weekend. And what you get is 1 hour early entry each day. So the doors would open at 10 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday for you if you're a gold bat. And you get priority access to panels and presentations. So some of these, you guys, the like announcements for Universal Studios or panels with, like, let's say Not Scary Farm, or if there's a particular artist that's very popular, these lines get horrifically long, no pun intended, like they are bad. And if there's a really popular panel, if you're in general admission, there's a chance you may not get in. But if you're a gold bat, you're pretty much guaranteed entrance, and you get to feel really superior walking past everybody when you walk in. You'll get frontline access to select attractions in the Hall of Shadows. So you get to go right in and experience the haunted attractions at your leisure. You get a collectible lanyard and credential. And if that wasn't enough, you get a special edition gold bat enamel pin, which is only available to you guys, so you can wear it with pride. And you'll get admission to MidSummer Scream After Dark, which is the Saturday night party. So if you're on the show floor all day in the Hall of Shadows all day and you haven't had enough, you can attend the After Dark party from 8 to 12 a.m. And that's on Saturday. So, as I said before, you can get your tickets at midsummerscream.org. Do not sleep on this. The tickets will 100% sell out. So, there's that. And Universal Studios has kept leaking out little nasty, cute little tidbits of information to tease us. And they have released information about another maze. They have told us their next maze that they've announced is Horrors of Bloomhouse, and it features.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
But they are now calling them houses. Houses.
Oh, I'm sorry. House.
At Universal, they are called houses. Apologies.
No. You know what? Happy to be corrected. I want to make sure I say it right. So, pardon me. A new house has been announced. And this house is called Horrors of Bloomhouse, and it features Freaky and the Black Phone. There's a really cool, fun little teaser that you can see on Instagram. So if you follow Halloween Horror Nights on Instagram, be sure you check it out. It's I love all their little teasers that they put out. It's always fun to watch people get murdered on Instagram. And if you are looking for something fun to do this weekend, the Sugar Mint Gallery, which I know I've mentioned them the past couple weekends, they have just been very heavy on the events, and they just keep rolling them out. And if they keep rolling them out, we're going to keep talking about it. So we've got a couple different movies that they're running this weekend. So Sugar Mint Gallery, if you're not familiar with it, is in South Pasadena, and it's next door to the original Michael Myers home, and it's walking distance to several of the film locations. So if you're a huge Halloween fan, then you should for sure be aware of / check out Sugar Mint Gallery. They kind of rest their laurels on the phrase where every day is Halloween, and they do an annual exhibit called Welcome to Haddonfield, which is a love letter to Halloween and its subsequent films. And this Friday, at 8 p.m., they are doing a screening of The Lost Boys, which I know Norm says he doesn't indulge in spooky things too early, but, you know, you have to have a screening of Lost Boys. I know some people consider that something they watch only during spooky season. I think this is a perfect summer horror film, and they are going to have an outdoor screening of that. So for 15 bucks, you get to go into the gallery, enjoy it at your leisure, and then at 8 p.m., you get to go outside and enjoy the film. The following day at 8 p.m., they're also going to be screening Jaws, which that's like the perfect 4th of July horror film, in my opinion, because how many people are going to be at the beach? So If you're interested in screening Jaws, you can catch that there at 8 p.m. And again, it's just a $15 gallery admission fee, and it includes the screening of the film. So really, it's a 2-for-1. And I wanted to finish with an event that I actually had never heard of until very recently. And I really wanted to highlight them. They're not in California, they're actually in Lexington, Kentucky. But I think what they stand for is really important. And, especially with the world's events and everything going on, they really should be highlighted for their efforts. And this is Haunters Against Hate. And they're a nonprofit corporation that gives LGBTQ haunters a chance to express themselves and discuss challenges they faced in their life and even in the haunt community. The first time it ever premiered was in 2021, and it was a weekend horror and Halloween event mixed with an LGBTQ festival. So it's like Pride meets a horror con. And the whole shtick, if you will, celebrates pride, horror, scaring, and under the umbrella of an accepting and welcoming environment, which we know the Halloween community to be very thoroughly. And so this event this year features vendor booths, all kinds of celebrity guests, seminars, workshops, classes. And on Saturday night, they're going to have an award ceremony that presents the Haunters Against Hate Legacy Award. And they also present a Haunter of the Year Award. And this is going to be from July 8th to 10th. So not this weekend, but next weekend. And it runs in the afternoon and evening. So 3 to 8 p.m. on Friday, Saturday 10 to 6, and Sunday 10 to 3. Weekend admission is $65. Friday is $35, Friday and Saturday are $35, and Sunday are $15 if you're going on individual days. Haunters Against Hate also has a cool store. You can find that at hauntersagainst-hate.com, and you can buy all sorts of merchandise, really cool looking, wonderful merchandise. And why not? With Pride going on and everything. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a portion of their purchases go towards other LGBTQ organizations. They even have a list of LGBTQ orgs that you can donate to, and they make it very educational. And this event is being held at the Clarion Center North in Lexington, Kentucky. So I just wanted to end that with like a really cool event. And I love the haunt community, the Halloween community, and I think this is a really good example of the welcome environment and the inclusivity that we see in the haunt community.
That is amazing, and that sounds like such a fun event.
That sounds awesome.
I mean, like, yeah.
If you look at the gallery of pictures, it's like, all these gory, bloody people, but they're in like tie-dye rainbow shirts. It's like the most fun combo ever.
They need to work on their couture. No.
I'm really happy to hear about Stranger Things too, because I was kind of worried about that, because season 3 was really good. That's my favorite season so far. I haven't seen the new season yet. I'm kind of waiting for part 2 to come out so I can watch it all together. So it's exciting to hear that it's really good so far. Thank you for telling me.
So Stephen Bustamante is really on a tear tonight. Good to see some action out here. And he's talking about some horror films, shark films coming out in July, a few clown flicks. No, we don't like clowns.
We love them.
Oh,
well, I love them.
And at any rate, Jeff is telling me it's far too early. Well, the Joker's different, Chris. No, you're clowns. So, and Stephen is also saying that he loves the Polonia Brothers films. I don't know. You know what, Chris? Don't get yourself kicked off of the show. I'm just saying.
Yes, clowns forever.
I'm not prepared. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so as a little treat to Lindsay and to the rest of us, I really need to show this again. In kind of introducing our next, so you'll understand once I get to.
Greetings, boars and ghouls.
Said no, you can't have none.
For I have a tasty treat.
Look at my pajamas, they're fancy.
But now he's dead.
This is a picture of a land cucumber.
Halloween? It's June.
Flaky!
I'll reach that meaty paw in here and see what else I can do.
So, as you can see, I'm still in the Frida, and we just had the horror movie night screening of Creepshow, and it was ridiculous. It was so much fun, and it was this close to selling out. So the advice first off is to get your tickets and get them early for the one that's coming up, which is Alien on August 19th. That one's going to be even crazier. But we had so much fun. The horror movie night video pre-show was ridiculous. Eric like completely outdid himself on this one. And on top of that, we added a new element where I suddenly ran up in the middle of the pre-show and gave away prizes just randomly. Wow. Just suddenly asking trivia questions. Alarms would go off, and these crazy things would happen. And Jeff, I do not like clowns. And that I would throw out prizes and everything like that, and it was a hoot. Everyone got dum-dums, everyone got drinks, everyone had a lovely time, and we played what was it? Oh God, it was a game about an anthology. Like, you had to know your anthology, and you had to know each one of the little stories in the anthology films. It was crazy, it was wonderful, and it was fun. So I was rushing before the show to try to get you some pictures and some video, but alas, the point is you missed it, or maybe you didn't. I don't know, but there's another one coming up on August 19th, and get your tickets now because this will sell out. And I will make sure to put the link directly to the tickets in the comments. Tickets are $15. Not that bad for an entire night of entertainment. On top of that, you might win some prizes. Also on top of that, we're working with the place next door, the cute little bar next door, and we might have some special surprises for you there. So who knows? Who knows? So that's that. Oh, Jessica and Jeff are bonding over clowns. Hi, Peter.
I got a fun fact for you, Norm.
HorrorBuzz is one word with a capital B, but thank you for saying hello. And there we go. And let's see. Oh goodness. Okay, well, the Terrifier is a different thing. See, here's the other thing. Okay, I don't like the duplicitous clowns. Like, I like the Terrifier. I like Krusty.
Mm-hmm.
I like Stitches. Look up Stitches the Clown. That's a great
movie. I like
movie.
Stitches. That's a good movie.
Those clowns I could totally hang with. But okay, but enough about me and my stupid clown situation. Let's get to Chris because we have more to discuss, and he is bringing us a brand new list.
So before I start off, I have a couple of honorable mentions. I don't usually do this, but there's been so many good horror films this year. It was kind of hard to narrow it down to just 5. So the first one I want to talk about is sort of quasi-horror just because of the atmosphere and the amount of gore in it. It's called The Northman. And it's so good at showing what it was like back in ancient times when you were a Viking. And it talks a lot about their traditions, their culture, and it even gets into Norse mythology a little bit, which I thought was pretty cool. It's a basic revenge tale. It's actually the story that inspired Shakespeare to write Hamlet. It's that old. Like, this is inspired by Norse folklore. So that's an honorable mention. Another one that I want to mention is sort of family-friendly horror. It's called Hotel Transylvania Transformania. And I've discussed this on the show before, and I've got a review for it on my channel. Just search for Mr. Flickster. And it's the sequel to, well, it's the next sequel in line. This is part 4. And this one, it's flipped because through some sort of magic, that's part of the mystery. The humans become monsters and the monsters become people. and they have to try and figure out how to get back before it's too late. So, you know, it's funny. It doesn't have Adam Sandler, but a lot of the other people came back to it, like Steve Buscemi, David Spade. Just most of the cast came back, and even though it's not in it, you can't really tell because the other guy tries to sound like Adam Sandler. So it's really fun. I recommend that. Now, to get to the list, at number 5, I have 18 and a Half. This is an independent film. It's a horror comedy from filmmaker Dan Mervish. And basically, the premise is pretty simple. What if there was a secret, unaltered version of the infamous Nixon tape with that extra 18 and a half minutes that was cut out before? Then it kind of goes from there. The director's pretty good at keeping the suspense up and making everyone sort of a suspect because these two people have this tape, right? And they go to the countryside so they can listen to it in private because they don't trust anybody else to have it. And they question everybody that's around them. And it's a pretty good mystery. I don't want to say too much. If you want to know more about this, I have another video where I actually interview Dan Mervish. So that's on my channel too, if you want to check that out. It's called 18 and a Half. Very good political thriller horror movie. At number 4, I have another independent film. It's called Underneath, an anthology of terror. And this was co-directed by John Nichol and Andre Becker. And this is basically, it's an anthology film. It's told in 5 different chapters with little vignettes that connect it. And it starts off with a vignette that draws this person down to his basement. And it turns out there's a demon down there. And he wants to tell him different stories to try to possess him. And basically it goes through and then it ties in the end really nicely. And it reminds me of A24 films because it's more artistic than putting style and not much substance to it. You know what I mean? So as you go along through it, it relies more on emotion and mood. There's not much dialogue to it, which I thought was pretty cool because it lets you interpret it more. That's the thing too. It leaves it open to interpretation. It doesn't just pander to the audience or spoon feed them or anything like that. So, and it really makes you think too. So I was lucky enough to review that for the website. You can see that on there, HorrorBuzz.com. And I interviewed both directors on my channel. So if you want to see that, again, search Mr. Flickster. That's Underneath, Anthology of Terror. At number 3, I have Scream 5. Now, when I first saw this, I had kind of a lukewarm reception to it, but then it came out on Paramount Plus recently, and I must have watched it like 10 times by now because it's so rewatchable. And every time I watch it, I keep noticing little details that I didn't notice before. It does a really good job of that whodunit aspect that the Scream films are known for, but it also stays by that Scream playbook that all the ones stay by too, like the boyfriend's the suspect, and everyone around you is a suspect too, but you're not really sure. And then it's really good at doing fake outs. And it doesn't heavily rely on jump scares. Like there's the part of the kitchen where you think Ghostface is gonna pop out at any moment, like the fridge door opens and then he opens like a big cabinet and then he keeps opening all these doors until finally it happens. And this one's actually a lot funnier than I remember too, the first time I see it. But it did get a positive reaction when I saw it in theaters. Like the audience loved it. And that's the way you should see a Scream movie. So hopefully you got a chance to see that when it came out in February, I believe. So it's pretty good at being pretty unpredictable too, subverting expectations. And the gore, this is probably one of the goriest Scream movies so far. So I really appreciate good practical effects when it comes to gore. So that's my number 3, Scream 5. I reviewed this on my channel. So if you want to know more about that, I actually reviewed and ranked all the Scream films. So it's search Mr. Flickster. I'll even put a link below. At number 2, I'm really excited to talk about this film because I just saw this on Friday, just a few days ago. It's called Black Phone. And this is directed by Scott Derrickson, and it's got Ethan Hawke in it. And I read Norm's review on HorrorBuzz.com, and I agree with a lot of things he says because most of the movie takes place in this basement because these kids get abducted by this child serial killer called the Grabber. And basically, it's about this kid that's trapped there, and it gets a lot of mysterious phone calls from this black phone that's in the basement too, but it's disconnected, and it looks like it's been like that for a long time because it's one of those analog phones. But he gets mysterious phone calls from past victims, the other kids that have been captured by the Grabber before. They try to help him out. So it kind of reminded me of like a video game because he gets little pieces of the puzzle and then he's got to try and go along and figure out what to do next. And every step of the way is just so tense because you don't know when the Grabber is going to come back down, right? And I think it's really commendable that Ethan Hawke has his face covered up for most of the movie because that really adds to the intensity of the character. And that mask, if you haven't seen it, it is iconic. It's so scary. And director Scott Derrickson, he's really good at using light and shadow and building up that mood and keeping it just tight and impactful, because there's no extra here. Like, you start off with the kid, and then then we meet his sister, and then some of the friends that he talks to, he gets to know at school, and then slowly it takes its time telling the story too. Slowly you see kids are disappearing, and then all of a sudden it happens to the main kid, and then it picks up from there. And I don't want to say too much, but I know Norm was a fan of this too, and I'm really excited to talk about this with him. What were your thoughts on that, Norm? Just to briefly sum it up on people.
Oh well, seriously, I could go on.
It's so
for a long time. Let's finish your list.
Okay.
Because like we have to close out. Oh, you
okay.
know what?
I just thought it
Stephen
was the time. Sorry. Okay, let's
does
go.
not agree with you about part 5, but finish your list.
Okay. At number 1, probably pretty obvious. I raved about it on this channel before, and I gave it a really good review on my channel too. That's for Mr. Flickster. It's called X. This is the new A24 film, written and directed by Ty West. And I really love the different callbacks that it has to old horror movies of the past. Like, it calls back to Psycho, it calls back to Halloween, calls back to Scream, the Friday the 13th movies. Like, literally, there's times even where it feels like you're watching a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, and then it shifts gears, and it feels like you're watching like a Friday the 13th movie. Then it shifts again, and it feels like you're watching a Scream movie. It's really good at building up suspense too, because what the director does, he does a lot of creepy shots from the POV of the killer, and he does a lot of those classic horror movie shots where the killer's in the background and the two characters are in the front, but they don't know what's going on behind them, kind of thing. And it's really good at tension because of those reasons. And then a lot of the scares, it has a few jump scares, but it doesn't heavily rely on them. And that's kind of a pet peeve of mine when there's too many jump scares. But the gore for this is something I really want to point out, because it is unbelievable how gory this movie gets, because it takes its time. And it's not until halfway through when it turns into an actual slasher film. And then, wow, you will not believe what you have just seen. And it makes you think, too. It's very, not political, but it has a lot of those social commentaries.
No spoilers.
No, but it has a lot of social commentary about like sexual liberation and sexual freedom, and all about like there's like church versus like independence and stuff like that, and being your own person, those kinds of things. Like, it's a lot of flawed characters, but they all have good intentions. Like, there's not necessarily bad people, and that's the worst when you're watching a horror movie and like 20 minutes into it, you're like, oh my god, just kill these people already. So that's my number 1, X.
Excellent. So, oh, look at her huffing her candle. we are quickly running out of time, so we just have to close up here. But what I am going to say is Rick M says that Black Phone sounds fantastic, and The Black Phone, to me, is one of the best horror films of 2022, and there isn't going to be much that is going to knock it out of a top 10. To me, it was just a solid little, very Stephen King, because his son wrote it. Very Stephen King type of film with nasty, grimy, situations, a hint of paranormal elements, and a moral compass where you're really hoping things happen correctly, and it was just so good. And what's more, it doesn't need a sequel. So
no, I agree with that. Some films are fine just on their own. I had a list about that earlier, so you guys should check that out if you haven't seen it yet. Films that don't have sequels and don't need one. And I agree, this one does not need a sequel, because you're just going to diminish this one, or you're going to diminish The Grabber, or you're going to like do a stupid prequel and show like The Grabber, like how he became The Grabber. You know what I mean? Like,
nobody needs that. Nobody.
That's my problem with the Annabelle movies. They haven't done like a direct sequel to it. They keep going backwards, and they keep telling more about the doll. Like, yeah, we know the doll is
we got to
let's get to it already.
See, I really dug Annabelle Creation.
It's okay, but you know what I mean? Like, I just want to know what happens next. Stop telling me what already happened. Like, the doll is possessed.
Also, you guys, this is not exactly horror. Oh, Brandy's saying Black Phone was good, and it's parents' worst nightmare.
Totally.
No question. Okay, so before we go, we talked about releases and everything like that. Well, finally, and it's not exactly horror, but listen, just hear me out. One of my favorite movies from Sundance 2020, I think it was 2020. Ooh, man, sheesh, it's all been a blur. But it finally came out on Blu-ray. It's already out on VOD, but it is called Strawberry Mansion.
Oh,
And I loved this movie so much. It was easily my favorite film that I had seen at the festival that year. I can't remember if it was 2020 or 2021 because it's all just kind of a blur. But this is worth finding, and it's on VOD. So just, it feels very Tim Burton, very Charlie Kaufman, very Wes Anderson, and it's strange and sweet, and it's about a guy who is okay. It's about the future where people are taxed in their dreams based on the things they purchase in their dreams, and
oh.
so there's one lady who has not switched over to the new system of automatic auditing, and one of the auditors goes to visit her and watch all of her dreams to kind of assess it manually, and it's just beautiful and wonderful and strange and surreal. Anyway, I loved it,
That sounds
and
amazing.
yeah, so Strawberry Mansion, check it out because it's absolutely brilliant.
It's hard to find
And
truly original stories now because everything's like a
oh, this
sequel
one,
or a remake or a requel. Like most of these that I mentioned, most of them are like sequels and stuff too. So I tried to find stuff that was like, that's one of the things about being a film critic. You get to see independent films that not many people get to see. So
yeah,
it's cool to
people
get
don't
to talk
take a
about it and
chance
spread the
on.
word before they come out.
Yeah, so this one's good. So very good. So we have to wrap this up. We're so far over. But Lindsay, anything else to share?
Nope, just thanks for joining us. And honestly, you guys are awesome. The haunt community is awesome. And check out Haunters Against Hate. I really loved what I saw, so you guys should check it out.
Chris?
If you like what you see and you want to see more of me, make sure you search Mr. Flixer. I have my own YouTube channel. I'll make sure to put a link below for that too. And that's it. Have a great night.
Also, he's not a bad guy. Okay, everybody.
Oh,
Thank you for watching, and we will see you, get ready, Lindsay, in the fog.